You're good.
Hello, everyone. And before I get started, I just want to introduce my phenomenal staff team that has helps to make this go every day and help to put together our building to have this wonderful event here this afternoon. So if you could all just raise your hand or stand up, I would really appreciate it.
We got the president of council over here. It's a hard job.
We got some heavy hitters
That's
here today.
It's a hard job.
So thank you all for joining us today at Farnham Street Tower as we come together to celebrate the important work being done here in Lancaster to support and strengthen affordable housing. My name is Barbara Wilson, and I have the privilege of serving as the Executive Director of the Lancaster City Housing Authority. I want to welcome and thank Governor Josh Shapiro and Representative Izzy Smith-Waddell and their dedicated teams for choosing to visit Lancaster City Housing Authority. We are honored to host you and proud to share the impact of your continued support. The Pennsylvania Housing Affordability and Rehabilitation Enhancement, or FAIR funds, has been a vital resource in helping us maintain and improve our affordable housing portfolio across Lancaster City. It's run by the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency under Governor Shapiro's administration, and since 2021, FAIR has awarded over $1 million to our organization, allowing us to complete essential upgrades, from ADA accessible bathrooms and modern HVAC systems to full unit renovations. These investments make a meaningful difference in the lives of the people that we serve. This year, we are proud to be awarded $300,000 in FAIR funding, which will help launch critical field work for a $4 million facade transformation of this 169-unit Farnham Street Tower. Additionally, our nonprofit affiliate, Partners with Purpose, received $200,000 in FAIR funding for the ongoing preservation and rehabilitation of up to 33 single-family affordable homes throughout the city. Both investments mark the start of major revitalization efforts that will improve infrastructure, enhance safety and accessibility, and uplift the quality of the life for the residents across Lancaster. I also have the privilege to serve as president of the Pennsylvania Association of Housing and Redevelopment Authorities. And on behalf of our statewide membership, we applaud Governor Shapiro and his administration for prioritizing housing through the Pennsylvania Housing Action Plan, a bold and much-needed strategy to address housing affordability across the Commonwealth. Today is a powerful reminder of what's possible when public leadership and local housing authorities work together.
She gave you the side eye there, Izzy. Oh, boy.
And now that I know you.
Yeah. Keep your side eyes going that way.
So today is a powerful reminder of what's possible when public leadership and local housing authorities work together with a shared purpose. On behalf of all of our residents, we have a lot of them here today, and our staff, and the entire LCHA community, thank you for believing in Lancaster and for continuing to invest in stronger, more inclusive future for all Pennsylvanians. So at this time, it is my honor and privilege to introduce our great governor for the state of Pennsylvania, Governor Josh Shapiro.
Thank you. Thanks, Barbara. You know, I love feeling like I have the kind of relationship with the good people of Pennsylvania where they feel comfortable with me. I love when people kind of come up and they go, "Yo, Josh," and they tell me what's on their mind. And one of the ways you know that people kind of feel that you're approachable and that you're someone that they can talk to and get to, sort of know and work with on things is when they just kind of give you that side eye like that, which says, we need more help, we need this, we need that. And so I'm glad that you feel comfortable giving Izzy this side eye. And I want to invite you to give me the side eye anytime you want. It is always something that I'm available for. Representative Morgan Cephas, who you serve with, I'm going way a far field from what I was here to talk about. She gave me the side eye once, and now we've got funding for maternal health in the budget in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
That's how it works. So look, it's awesome to be back here in Lancaster and to be here with all of you today. And Barbara, thank you for your leadership, not just here in Lancaster, but representing the good work that you and your colleagues do all across this Commonwealth. And you have helped inform the work we do, and we appreciate that very, very much. I am glad to be here today with Robin Weissman, who leads PHFA, and to all of her teammates. You'll hear from her in just a few moments. I'm excited to hear from Irene. She's the star of the show. Your colleague, your resident, your friend, who will speak to you in just a few moments. And the aforementioned Representative Izzy Smith-Waddell, who is a colleague of mine, a partner in progress of mine, who represents this community so well. I'm going to talk about some of the things we're working on a little bit later, but it's great to be with you, and great to be with you talking about something as critically important as affordable housing here in Lancaster, and using this as a model for the rest of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I think it's so important because obviously having a safe, comfortable place to lie your head at night, well, that is critical to make sure everything else in your life works and works well. If we want our kids to be able to learn and succeed at school, if we want people to have an opportunity to go out and find a job, if we want to have seniors like those here at Farnham Street East be able to live dignified and happy lives, well, you need to have stable and affordable housing available in the communities that people love, the communities where they were raised, the communities where they want to live. It is that simple, and that is why my administration has been working very hard to invest in places like this and organizations like the Lancaster City Housing Authority to give more Pennsylvanians the opportunity to live somewhere where they love and that they can call home. Last week, I want you to know the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Authority, led by Robin Weissman, who you'll hear from in a moment, announced a $73 million investment in affordable housing projects in each of our 67 counties through an initiative, a fund called FAIR, P-H-A-R-E. You're going to hear me talk a lot about FAIR today. That is our largest, most flexible, and most effective tool we have to build and to repair housing all across Pennsylvania in rural, urban, and suburban communities. For about 15 years, this fund has subsidized the construction and rehabilitation of affordable housing. But before I took office about 2.5 years ago as your governor, that fund had become oversubscribed. There was a lot more demand than they had dollars to meet. So last year, working together with the help of your state representative, we were able to nearly double our investment in affordable housing all across Pennsylvania through FAIR, increasing the amount of funds available starting at $60 million and going all the way up to $100 million across Pennsylvania. And the reason why we did that is, for what I said before, people have a right to live dignified lives with a safe roof over their head. But in addition to that, we know this initiative works. It's been pressure tested, it's been used, and it works. And so when we see something that's working in Pennsylvania, particularly around an issue as important as housing, we want to invest more in that. We want to give more Pennsylvanians the opportunity to have affordable housing in their communities. Thanks to FAIR funding, the Housing Authority here was able to update affordable apartments here in this building to make them more accessible to older folks and Pennsylvanians with disabilities, installing important upgrades like walk-in showers and making it easier for people to use. Last week, you heard this before, we approved another $300,000 for Farnham Street East, which will be used to repair the outside of the building and install some new windows. FAIR makes projects like this possible. This is the source of funding to make these things happen. And since I took office, we have increased the number of affordable housing projects funded through FAIR by over 50%, 50. Over the past 2 years, we have funded more than 1,000 projects to build or repair over 8,000 units all across Pennsylvania. That's a big deal. That's real progress. But hear me on this. I'm hungry for more, and I think we have to do more. And I'm competitive as heck. I want us to always do more, and we're never going to rest on our laurels. And you know why? Because today in Pennsylvania, we do not have enough safe, affordable housing for the people that need it most. We still need thousands more housing units. And at the same time we need more of those housing units, we're seeing the cost of housing go up, both to build and to repair housing in need. And despite the increased needs for rental units, the number of low-cost rental units is going down in Pennsylvania and has been going down in recent years. So we don't have enough housing. The housing we need to build and refurbish costs more, and we don't have enough rental units available for people. And so for folks who do own a home, another challenge is many of those homes are aging, which means they're harder to maintain, and they often need expensive repairs. Consider this, it's an important statistic. Over 60% of the housing stock in Pennsylvania was built before 1970. 60% of our housing stock built before 1970, through no fault of anyone. These houses are aging, these apartments are aging, and they need some TLC. They need some investment so we can keep people in the homes that they love, in the communities that they want to be in. So my administration has worked hard to help Pennsylvanians stay in and take care of their homes. Over the last couple years, we have made real progress in a number of different ways. You heard about us increasing funding for FAIR. Let me tell you another one. For seniors who are living on fixed incomes, who want to stay in their homes, we finally, after 20 years of people talking about it, passed the largest increase in the property tax rent rebate in more than 2 decades. That allows more seniors to be able to get more money in a rebate to be able to stay in their homes. And so we now have a record number of seniors getting property tax relief all across Pennsylvania. In addition to that, in April, my administration certified $1 billion in general property tax relief through what's known as the homestead or farmstead exclusion. Why is this important? It's the first time it ever hit that $1 billion number. Now it's hard to understand what $1 billion means. Let me boil it down into real terms. The day I took office 2.5 years ago, the average homeowner in Pennsylvania received a savings of $225 thanks to that homestead or farmstead exclusion, $225. As a result of finally certifying that $1 billion, now that same homeowner can get $386 per household, from $225 to $386. That's real money back in people's pockets to help them be able to afford investing more in their homes or dealing with the rising costs elsewhere in the economy. In addition to that, last September, I signed an executive order to create Pennsylvania's first ever housing action plan. And I want you to know that wasn't just some executive order I signed to, make news. This is something that we used to start a process that's created a ton of hard work and meaningful results for people across Pennsylvania. The final housing action plan will come in a few months, but we're doing this on a rolling basis. We are making changes right now. In fact, I've asked lawmakers like Representative Smith-Waddell to pass 6 pieces of our housing action plan right now. First, we want to increase that FAIR funding to reach $110 million. Basically, more money available for projects like this. Second, we want to create a new $50 million fund to allow for housing repairs all across Pennsylvania. Third, a $10 million fund to allow people that need it to get assistance on closing costs so they're able to buy that home. They're able to achieve the American dream. They're able to be in a position to accrue generational wealth through home ownership. In addition, my budget also calls for funding for the state planning board so we can actually help local communities fix their zoning laws, which oftentimes slows down the process of building more housing, and creating an interagency council on homelessness. We know that your great mayor here and others work on homelessness here in Lancaster and across Pennsylvania. We want to make sure the state is working with them and coordinating all of our resources. And then finally, you know, I'm a former attorney general. I believe in our justice system. I want to make sure it's fair. And when I see something that is not fair in Pennsylvania, I want to call it out and fix it. Here's an example of something that's not fair. If someone tries to evict you from your property, right? They file a notice of eviction. Even if you did nothing wrong, even if you get it thrown out because the landlord was wrong and the tenant was right, guess what? That stays on your record here in Pennsylvania, even though you didn't do anything wrong. We want to change that law and seal those eviction records, particularly for those who didn't do anything wrong, who got it stuck on their record and have it hurting their ability to go out and do other things. We think that's common sense. And all of these things, thank you. I think all of these things enjoy bipartisan support. Representative Smith-Waddell is here today, in part because he's a strong partner of mine, in part because he is a leader on these issues across the state, and in large part because he really gives a damn about this community, and he fights for it every single day. Representative Smith-Waddell is a tremendous partner, and he's going to help us get these housing initiatives over the finish line. So thank you for being here, my friend. Appreciate it. Thank you. So look, I'm going to close with this. This is common sense. These are things that enjoy bipartisan support. This is about helping people achieve the American dream, keeping more money in their pockets, a roof over their head, creating stability in our communities, rural, urban, and suburban. These are common sense investments that are working. They're paying off, and we need to invest more in order to make it happen. Some of you may know we're in the final weeks here of getting our state budget passed. Housing is an important component of that. I'm also one of the only governors in the whole country with a divided legislature. We've got a House led by Democrats and a Senate led by Republicans. And so we're going to do what we've done in the past. Come together, listen to one another, find common ground, compromise, and get big things done for the good people of Pennsylvania. We've done that routinely when it comes to education and safety and economic development. And we're going to do it when it comes to housing and many other issues. So I want you to know we're hard at work. I'm actually heading back to the Capitol right after this to continue our meetings, to continue our work on this. But rest assured, Lancaster will be top of mind, thanks to Representative Smith-Waddell. Housing will be top of mind, and we're going to continue to make progress here in Pennsylvania. One of the things I never forget when I'm doing this work is who it's all about and who it's all for. It's all about you. It's making sure that the good people of Pennsylvania benefit from this hard work that we do together in the Capitol, from the tough compromises that we have to make. And we always remember that it's about you, the good people of Pennsylvania. And so it's my pleasure right now to invite up one of those wonderful people of Pennsylvania who benefit from all this. The person who I know is a real hometown hero here, quite literally, Irene Jameson, to say a few words and talk about how these investments in housing have improved this facility and her lives and the lives of many others. So it's my pleasure to invite up someone you all know very, very well, Irene Jameson. Irene?
Thank you, Governor Shapiro. Hi, my name is Irene Jameson, and I'm proud to serve as the Chair of Resident Council here at the Lancaster City Housing Authority. I moved in Church Street Towers back in October 2023, and it's been my home ever since. As a part of the Resident Council, I work alongside my neighbors, Lancaster City Housing Authority, and part of the Resident Council. I work, authority staff to help make sure our community is safe, welcoming, supportive, and a safe place to live. I want to thank Governor Shapiro for the opportunity to speak today, for his leadership in supporting the program like FAR, which directly improves the quality of life for residents like me. At Church Street Towers, PAR has helped install the brand new HVAC system, which has been a big improvement to our quality of life, having reliable cooling in the summer, and made our homes more comfortable and safer. Thank you. The FAR Funding Award to Lancaster City Housing Authority will make a real difference. It's not just about buildings, it's about people. It's about preserving our homes, ensuring accessibility, and helping the residents live with dignity and pride. On behalf of the Resident Council, I want to express our gratitude. This investment means a lot to us, and we are truly thankful for the partnership and support. Thank you again, Governor Shapiro. And for being in our community, I would like to introduce next Representative Robin. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be here, and I just have to thank the governor again and again for providing the focus on housing in the Commonwealth and the fabulous success and increased resources for the FAIR program. I'm the executive director of Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. And I want to give a quick shout out to one of my very dedicated board members, Jen Koppel, who's here, as well as Clay Lambert, who is the director of this program. They, along with the governor and all of PHFA, have such a strong sense of purpose and mission, and FAIR really helps us do something with that direction. The governor, you know, as you all know, is he's the economic developer in chief, he's the jobs developer in chief, and now he is our housing developer in chief. And I am so grateful that he has had the bold vision and put into effect the first comprehensive housing action plan for Pennsylvania. So needed, because housing is so diverse all across the Commonwealth. And it's going to be it's very collaborative, and it will really assimilate and take into account everybody's housing interest across the Commonwealth. He spoke about FAIR, and there are just 2 points I want to add. He spoke, obviously, gave you all of the important facts and the initiatives he's undertaking. There are 2 things about FAIR I just want to emphasize. One is it's driven by the needs of the communities. Not all programs are built like that. A lot of them are top-down. But this one comes into us with the needs that communities have identified. And that makes it very useful. The other thing is, with those resources, it often leverages or gets other resources, so it can build up and provide even more resources for housing. So we can't emphasize enough how important it is. There's a reason all 67 counties in the Commonwealth have benefited from this. And we're so looking forward to all of the things that the governor has been working on and all of the things he's already gotten done. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. I spoke before about my partner in so much of this work in the legislature, your state representative, Izzy Smith-Waddell.
Thank you, Governor. Governor, you've given me such lovely accolades this morning. I want to say that I really appreciate that. But I have an anecdote for you. When you gave your second budget address, we were in the main rotunda, so we're all seated in chairs not unlike you, right in front of the marble steps. And I turned to one of my colleagues from the city of Philadelphia, and I said, I'm reasonably certain that is the most words any governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has said about housing in a row ever. But you didn't just say them. Soon dawning, we have our Commonwealth's first housing action plan. So thank you, Governor, for not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. It makes a difference. We have a long list of partners here and a long list of issues that we could discuss. But as the governor mentioned, and I think as you all know, housing is the first and most important issue to me as a legislator, not just because it's the first and most important issue to this community, but I like to think because, you know, I have a working brain and a working pair of eyes. When you send your kids to school in the morning. If you're lucky enough, you do that from a home. Although the Department of Education tells us that at last count, about 48,000 of Pennsylvania's students don't have stable housing. When you get up to get one of the jobs that we are creating in the Commonwealth, you do that if you are fortunate enough from a home. Though many of our neighbors who go to sleep in shelters, and I want to be clear about this, wake up and go to work and return to those shelters in the evening. The things that we try to accomplish as Pennsylvanians, as people, rely on having a safe, warm, dry home. And when those things are lacking, we can see the effects in our communities, which is why the work that we're doing on housing matters. Everything that we talk about, education, job creation, making Pennsylvania a place that people want to come to, where they want to learn, get a degree, stay, work in the trades, build the housing that we're talking about, relies on making sure they have a place to start their day every morning. I'm so proud, really genuinely, to have a governor that actually has a housing action plan. I am proud to have a governor that is taking proactive steps to help protect and house our unhoused neighbors. We cannot take that for granted, y'all. Please let me be so explicit about that at a time when, very apparently, the need is in every part of our community. I'm proud to have a governor and the governor's team and Robin with PHFA that recognize that we have to prioritize housing, or everything else that we do, it will turn to dust in our hands. Over $2 million, we are here to announce to you today, but you all well know, over $2 million is coming in this round of fair funding to Lancaster, to, man, just a real great group of folks. I was going to call you some other things, but I don't want to get anybody in trouble. From Good Neighbors Home Repair, the City Housing Authority, Barb is still here with us, Community Basics, the County Redevelopment Authority, United Disability Services, Saka Development Corporation, Chestnut Housing, Base Inc., Tenfold, and more. Not only have you invested in this community, you've invested in every single way that this community provides housing for its neighbors. And to both of you, I want to say thank you. I'll close by mentioning two things. First is this. The governor mentioned eviction ceiling legislation currently moving through the House, and I could not have said it any better than the governor did. There are thousands of Pennsylvanians right now being denied housing over evictions that never actually happened. Let me say that again. They are being denied housing over evictions that never actually occurred. And we don't always get the opportunity as legislators to look at a problem, say this has an easy technical fix, and address it. But with eviction ceiling, with the governor's leadership, we are going to be able to do that. And that's huge. That's going to benefit as many as 30,000 residents of this Commonwealth every single year. Good deal. And last, I want to talk about the governor's proposed investment in home repair and preservation. But I don't really want to talk to you about housing stock. I have a neighbor up the street, Chester Stewart. We call him Chet. Some of y'all know him. Chet has worked his whole life, owns his house on Shippen Street. But Chet lives on Social Security. So when the roof goes, or the porch goes, or the utilities are a little bit high that month, Chet often finds himself in a difficult position. Now, the reason I'm talking about Chet in particular is because Chet has lived on that block for decades. So Chet knows if he sees your bad kid running down the street, he can grab him by the scruff of the neck and say, you need to go home to your parents. Chet knows if our elderly neighbor, the Vietnam veteran on the other side of the street, needs a little help with groceries. Chet knows the block and helps keep it together. When we invest in making sure our seniors stay in their home, I don't want you to think that we're just talking about investing in housing stock. We are investing in the social fabric of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and I believe that's worth investing in. Okay, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you all. Governor.
Thank you. I agree with Izzy. Look, I know it is warm. I asked him to try and figure out the air conditioner in here, but I got to take a few questions from the media, and then we'll be able to wrap and get everybody some water and get in a cooler place. Yep.
So just about an hour ago, 2 hours ago, Senate Majority Leader Pittman said that there's no budget framework and no way to figure out a budget deal sometime before the deadline on June 30th. Is that an accurate depiction of ongoing negotiations, and how are you facilitating those negotiations between Republicans and Democrats?
Look, well, first off, I'm heading right back to the Capitol after this conversation we're having here in Lancaster. Second, I think we are making good progress. I think we understand the issues that need to be addressed. I'm not suggesting we've agreed on the answers on how to address them. I think we actually, in some ways, have fewer issues on the table this year because of the great progress that we made last year, particularly around education, both the number and the funding formula. That had always been a fairly sticky issue in negotiations. I think we're making real progress. We understand Senator Pittman leading the negotiations in the Senate, Representative Bradford leading negotiations in the House, and of course my office. We all understand we have to compromise. We also, I think, all understand the set of issues we have to work through, and we're going to continue to work through them. We're each going to have to give a little bit, and we're going to make progress, and we're going to get it done. Steve? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Governor, we saw yesterday the
Steve,
proposal.
I'll get you next. Sorry. Go ahead, James.
Governor, we saw yesterday the proposal coming out of the Senate Finance Committee when it comes to Medicaid and what it did to the provider tax, cutting it significantly. What do you think this would mean for Pennsylvanians? And when it comes to the budget, how much of a wrench does this throw when it comes to projections and numbers with the uncertainty at the federal level?
Well, let's just say the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate are both now negotiating a bill that has the sort of same basic contours. They would slash funding for Medicaid and SNAP and use those dollars to be able to give tax cuts to those at the highest income levels. In addition to that, they would slash the tax credits that are there, creating jobs in Pennsylvania around renewable energy and alternative energy sources. All of that would be bad for Pennsylvania. All of those cuts would be bad for Pennsylvania. The House bill that passed by one vote, so each and every member of the delegation here in Pennsylvania who voted for it was the deciding vote, would knock 510,000 Pennsylvanians off of Medicaid and Penny, 310,000 specifically off of Medicaid. 140,000 Pennsylvanians would lose food assistance. I've got 25 rural hospitals right now that are operating at a loss, operating at a deficit, that rely extensively, almost a majority of their funding coming through public payers like Medicaid. They would likely shutter if these cuts went into place over time. So rural hospitals are going to lose out. 500,000 Pennsylvanians are going to lose health care. 140,000 Pennsylvanians are going to lose food assistance. And you would think that the Senate would see that, the Senate of the United States would see that and go, well, we don't want to inflict that kind of pain on the people of Pennsylvania, the people across this country. Let's figure out a way to do that better. And instead, they made it worse. This Senate bill would knock more people off of health care, make it harder for more people to get access to food, make it harder for our rural hospitals to be able to survive. I'm hopeful that our senators at the end of the day will understand this and not allow this bill to go forward and work on legislation that's not going to be punitive, that's not going to harm people here in Pennsylvania when it comes to accessing food and medicine and healthcare. I'll also tell you that one of the rhetorical points, I've heard this from some of your congressmen here in Pennsylvania, is, well, we're not knocking anybody off of healthcare, we just want to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. You all have heard them say this. By the way, I'm for getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. So is our state inspector general. So is our Department of Human Services. In fact, we lead the nation when it comes to rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. So if they want to help us root out waste, fraud, and abuse, great. I'd love some help on that, and we'll do an even better job, even though we're leading the nation now. But don't give me this nonsense where you're going to try and justify knocking 500,000 Pennsylvanians off of health care and say it's because of waste, fraud, and abuse. Here's the other thing they say. They say, well, we don't want health care going to people who are undocumented. They have a different word for those who are undocumented. Let me also explain something. Here in Pennsylvania, the law does not allow Medicaid to be used for those who are undocumented. So their rationale for this is all BS. You'll excuse me, Irene, but it is total BS. What they're really doing is knocking a whole bunch of people off of health care, taking a bunch of food away from folks in the name of giving a tax cut to those who, quite frankly, don't need it right now. Okay? That's wrong. And we got to stand up against that. And I'm going to continue to speak out against that. And I hope cooler heads will prevail in the United States Senate. Steve?
Two-pronged budget question. Number one, because of the uncertainty in Washington, Senator Jim Ward has floated the idea of a 6-month budget. Also, Senator Joe Pittman has said that he feels the Senate is willing to walk away from transit and not get it accomplished in this year's budget. Your
Look,
thoughts?
I appreciate the constructive work we're doing with the Senate and with the House. I'm certainly not going to get into negotiating with those members here with you. But what I will say is we have a legal responsibility to pass an annual budget. We're not going to do a 6-month budget. Representative Bradford has made that clear as well. We have a responsibility to make some tough choices, to compromise to get this done, and we're going to get it done.
Time for one more, guys. 27?
Yep.
Senator Pittman also mentioned recreational marijuana will not be a part of this budget, something you've been in favor of.
Yeah.
Your reaction to that?
We're going to continue to work through this. I think this is an issue of competitiveness. Every state around us, with the exception of West Virginia, has legalized, and Pennsylvanians are driving into those states in order to purchase cannabis legally and pay taxes to those states. So those school kids get more money for their schools. Their parks and roads and bridges get repaired. Their mass transit systems get funded. Their housing stock gets replenished. I'm not sure why we want to do that for the good people of Ohio or New York or Maryland or New Jersey when we should be doing it for people here in Pennsylvania. I think it's a competitiveness issue. Its time has come. I've spoken openly about how I've grappled with this issue as a father, as a former chief law enforcement officer of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. But I am where I am on it. I think it's a competitiveness issue, and I hope we're able to find a way to get that done. Okay? Thank you all very much. We'll get you into a cooler space here. I appreciate you all being here. And let's give Irene a round of applause, okay?